Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NerdPub Podcast. I'm your host, Adam, and before we move on with today's episode, I just wanted to give you guys just a little heads up. This particular episode regarding the Disney park shutting down was recorded on May 3rd before the new recent updates. So in light of the recent changes, myself and my special guest for today decided to make this a Part 1 and Part 2 episode. And in just a few days, we will be recording and posting Part 2 to discuss the new recent updates regarding the reopening process of the Disney parks. But with that, let's get started with today's episode. Thanks so much, guys, and hope you enjoy. Alright, guys, and welcome back. And today I am joined by two special guests. They are very dear friends of mine. They're twin sisters, Alex and Vicki Witter. They are former cast members of the Walt Disney Corporation, and I think they've kind of labeled themselves cast members for life, even though that they now have new jobs. But today we're going to talk a little bit about, the Disney Corporation. Eventually we're going to talk into, the shutdown that took place because of the unfortunate, circumstance that's now kind of taken over the world right now. But before then, we're going to talk about some fun stuff and, like their experiences working at the Disney Corporation. So, Alex, Vicki, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, too.
I am doing great, thank you. And thanks so much for being on the show today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah. So I'd like to get started off. You guys have been started off working for Disneyland out there in California. I was just going to ask, did you guys apply for Disney at the same time, or did maybe one of you apply first and then the other?
No, I had applied first. I can't remember. It was probably, we graduated in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So then I graduated. Yeah, so then I applied shortly after we got home back to California. And then it took a couple, I want to say 2 months, maybe a month, before I heard anything back. And then once I did, I got the, you have to do a computer interview thing.
Yeah, there's a computer-based interview, and then there's an in-person interview.
And if you pass the computer-based, then you can get a slot to do an in-person. And then once you do that, then you see if you get in. And I remember I took that, and I think that was a Friday. And then I heard back Saturday with an email asking for to get interviewed in person. And I think it was the following week or something, because I remember being super nervous. And then I got that, and then I got hired on the spot.
Nice. That's kind of interesting, because an old neighbor of mine, when me and my wife used to live in these apartments, he said that he applied for Disney World, but out here in Oklahoma, we're just well, how's he going to do, the interview process? And I didn't know that they had either computer interviews or FaceTime interviews. And I was just, that's kind of interesting, because I didn't, from what it sounds like it's a little bit more difficult to become a cast member than what I assumed anyway, because I thought that if you applied, then you might
So here's the thing, Disney, because it's such a big company and they employ people from all around the world, they can't just have people just fly in and do in-person interviews.
Right.
In the event that maybe they don't get casted. So the idea of doing even FaceTime interviews or Zoom interviews or however they do it, it's beneficial, because these people, especially for people at Epcot, even people in Disneyland, they employ from all around the world through the college program. So everything is done. The first step that you have to do no matter what is the actual interview. Or not the interview, the application. And eventually, I don't know, it probably took about a week where I got an email back that says, okay, we liked your application, now let's do the computer-based application.
Yours went by so much faster than mine.
It did, but however, mine took 6 months.
Well, because you applied for that first position and then you didn't get it, and so then you had to wait another 6 months before you could apply again.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah. And then that's when you got it. But when I applied, it took forever to even hear back from the application itself. And then once I did, then I got that computer-based after a couple months or whatever it was, and then I got to go in person.
So, Alex, since Vicky applied and got the job first, like, how long was it after she was working there that you decided that you wanted to apply and work for Disney as well?
Ironically, it was actually, I was sitting in the car for when she was going into the interview. And then she came back to the car because I wasn't allowed to go into the building because I had no reason to. And this is, they call it TDA, which is...
I think you were allowed to. You just didn't... I told you not to.
Maybe that's what it was.
I was like, I'm an adult. I should go and buy some myself.
Anyways, I was sitting in the car.
I'll interview for my own jobs.
She came back out, and she sat in the car, and she said, I got the job. And I remember thinking this overwhelming feeling of...
You were so excited.
I was so excited, but at the same time, I was so upset because, like, I don't know, it was something so strange because when she got it, it was that moment I said, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it too. I always had this fear of working for them because the process seemed so difficult, but watching my sister do it, I just thought, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. Not saying that, you know, if she couldn't do it, I couldn't do it, but... Anyways, I saw that, you know, she did so well. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this now. I've always been a Disney fan. Disney runs in our family. My dad's been a cast member. Our aunt's been a cast member. Growing up, I remember telling people I was going to work there. Disney's just been our life. It's just, there's something so special about it that has, just talking about it just makes me smile just because I love it so much.
Well, I knew that you guys definitely, you know, were big Disney fans, and I mean, especially since, you know, we now, both Alex and Vicky and my wife and myself, we actually went to the parks, like, twice in 1 year. Like, we went 1 year, and then, like, we just barely went at the end of that same year back, like, for my birthday, and then we went for you guys' birthday, too. And
yeah, it was like 11 months later or something.
Yeah, like, and it was just, the second time was just all a joke, you know, just like, hey, let's just go back to Disney World for a vacation. And then, like, Alex had already had her bags packed, and she's got the planner out, and, you know, like, ordering all these things, like, hey, Alex, we were just speaking hypothetical, and she's like, and it's booked. Like,
here's the thing, you don't joke about going to Disney with me, because you just don't, because a joke to you guys is, like, realistic to me. I will have the entire thing planned, I will have all my, you know, everything down to which park we're doing each day, which
It was
ride.
Christmas Day. You were on the phone with the hotel people.
Yes, I was.
It was Christmas Day.
I was like, you know what, I'm going to just book it.
Merry Christmas to me. I'm just going to book it.
I think I booked it Christmas and we went in February that first time.
Yeah, we did the first time. It was, and it was kind of a scare because we weren't sure if we were able to go because my wife just graduated with her master's and she was...
Looking for a job.
Looking for a job, and she had one, but we were just worried they wouldn't let us go. But thankfully they did, and that was very nice of them. But being... let's just kind of fast forward. Now you guys are both like employed, like, you know, you guys are employed at different parts, but like, what was the experience like of becoming a cast member? Because I do have friends that I work with, and you know they went to the Disney College is what you call it.
Oh, the Disney college, college program.
College program, yeah, and it just seems like it's a pretty lengthy process to become like a full cast member. Like it's not just, you know, like you are training for a week or something like that, and then it's just like you're like going to Disney boot camp or something.
It very much was like that.
Yeah, it's honestly when you get into I hate to like keep butting in with my sister, but like honestly with the thing about Disney is like you have a 4-month probation period, so the first 4 months you work there, so your start date is the first day you go to Traditions, and Traditions is a 3-day, I feel like it's like a 3-day program, 8 hours each day, where you go through it's like a Disney kind of background. They want to tell you about the 4 keys, which show efficiency.
No, safety, efficiency.
No,
Shoot, what are they? Kind of forgot.
There's 4 keys.
Safety was the number 1. Show was the 3rd one. Efficiency was the 4th. And I just cannot remember what the second one was.
Anyways, so there's 3 days of just constant. It's fun. That's the thing, when you tell people about traditions, they're like, oh, it sounds like an orientation. Well, it is, but it's Disney-fied. So it's 8 hours of literally making.
Come on. Who else gets to meet Mickey and Minnie on their first day of work?
Seriously?
Oh, you guys got to meet Mickey and Minnie? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get to meet them.
They came in, and I don't know about yours, but during mine, and Jafar was my main person.
Mine too.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. The guy we had,
he was friends with Jafar.
I was about...
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I was going to mention something like that, because I just remember, mentioning all of these, these Disney terms and everything, and being constantly corrected, and that's fine. I mean, more speaking because my wife's cousin, he's an actor, and he played one of the characters down there, and I remember mentioning that to you, and you just looked at me like, you mean he's friends with that character? I'm like, what does that mean? It's just we don't say they play this character, we say they're friends with that character.
Because there's only one of that person.
Exactly.
That's
There's
true.
only one Jafar. So you're friends with Jafar or you're friends with Mickey. You cannot be Mickey. It's known around the world. There's only one Mickey. It's Mickey Mouse, and that's it.
I would have, if I was working there, I'd probably be a little that'd probably be the only time I'd ever be intimidated by looking at Mickey Mouse and just oh wow, now this guy's my boss. And I can just oh yeah, hey guys, my boss is a mouse,
And you know what? Even though he's your boss, he follows you all around, and that's the greatest thing is because...
I don't know that makes it better.
It sounds terrifying, but when
scary.
when your boss is the happiest mouse in the entire world, how can you not be happy? People, when you think of your boss, what do you think of? Do you think of somebody who's super authoritative, super
Probably more like Donald Duck or something
I don't know. It's just something about having Mickey as your manager versus corporate, corporate USA being your manager or whatever. It's something so different. Just because you're yeah, I have the coolest boss. My hashtags on Facebook used to be I have the coolest boss in the world, or maybe it was Twitter. I don't remember, but
it's probably one of the two.
Well, I was gonna ask Vicki, would you say that your experience becoming a cast member was different than Alex's?
The application process?
Well, I mean, just did you kind of go into it with that same energy, or were you just oh, I'm excited, but...
I was nervous, so nervous. I walked in, and I just remember seeing, all these people. And I don't know about yours, but, my orientation had probably well over 100 people.
oh yeah, mine was too.
And so I just remember waiting outside because right before you go into the auditorium, everybody has to wait outside, and it was 7:30 in the morning. You had to be dressed to the T, and if you weren't, they would send you home and have to reschedule your orientation if you were not dressed to impress.
Wow.
Well, it's not just dressed to impress. You have to be Disney.
Well, yeah,
There is a Disney dress code.
Yeah.
A Disney dress code?
Yeah.
There is. And thankfully I was dressed fine, so they never sent me home.
That would probably be an issue with me.
I remember I saw somebody go home. Did
you really?
Somebody was sent home because they were not dressed. I don't remember. They didn't have a tie on. I can't remember, but it was something ridiculous.
If your nails aren't done correctly, if you have piercings or tattoos that are showing, if your hair's not a natural color, if your toes are showing.
Yeah, there's definitely a book on how to dress.
There is the Disney dress code book, and it even tells you before you go into traditions, how to dress. So the fact that people get sent home is kind of, to me, sounds odd because it's there is literally a dress code.
I mean, where I work at, there was only one time I violated the dress code, and it wasn't even intentional. It was just a misunderstanding. At my job, I have to wear a black hat, but they didn't specify. From what it sounded like, they said you can wear any hat as long as it's black. But so I had a little it wasn't a ball cap. It was just a black hat, the manager came in there. He kind of started a nice little conversation with me. He's like, by the way, I need to let you know your hat is not uniform friendly. And I was just oh, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, no, that's all right. That's all right. And I just told him like it was a misunderstanding. He's like, oh, no worries. And I just took it off. And I was just like, but I have never like encountered like people having to go home because they weren't. Well, actually, never mind. That's not true. I did. I worked at a restaurant once where like we had a uniform, and there was one guy that kind of came in definitely not wearing the uniform, and the manager had to send him home. So, but
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just. I mean, it sounds like it'd be more difficult, like for the ladies than it is for the men because, like, you have to make sure your nails are done right and everything, like you said.
Well, I remember I was already in my position working on Main Street, and one of the girls had gotten her nails done with like gel, and gel's it stays on there for a long time, and it was a different color. It was, I think the only color we were allowed to have was red, or right. It had to be red or like...
Oh, like for Minnie Mouse?
There's like a nail color sheets,
yeah.
and you have to put your nail up to that color sheet, and if it doesn't match any of those colors, they give you alcohol to take it off.
Oh.
Well, this one girl had gel, so she was sent home for 2 weeks because it couldn't come off. Jeez. That or she had to somehow figure it out.
Well, okay, despite all of the like the crazy dress code policies and everything like that, like was it like worth it though? Like,
yeah,
a million times yes.
I will go forever without dyeing my hair or getting nails just to work back in my position. I loved my position.
Well, you had a couple positions.
I did. I was very lucky. Yeah. I first started on
main entrance.
Thank you. Main entrance. And they'd given me 3 positions when I did my interview the second time.
Oh, you too? Me too.
Yeah, they gave me 3 positions. They're like, so I signed up my original, and this is what I tell people about when you're employing for Disney. Pick anything you want.
Any position.
Just pick any position you want on the list of open.
Now I remember what I applied for.
I applied for candy maker.
I applied to work in TDA.
Did you?
I did.
Interesting.
For something about the hotel representative.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
It was something very random.
Apply for whatever you want, because once you get into the company, they give you options to like where they think that you'd be best suited. And so I originally applied for candy maker, and in my interview he said, "Have you ever made candy?" And I said, "Absolutely not. But I want to work for this company."
I would probably be like, "I have not, and you probably shouldn't put me in candy maker because
I'll eat it."
Yeah, I was like, most of that candy being made will not make it to the guest's hands or something. But I was gonna ask, like, though it's like worth it being a cast member, like, has there ever been like insane difficulties being a cast member? Like, I'd imagine working with that many people like daily, like you're dealing with like hundreds of thousands of people daily. Like, has there like been like severe difficulties working?
I'll let you answer this, Vicki.
For me, I worked on Main Street. So the first month that I was there, I had the worst stomach bug. I don't get sick very often, but I did. And it was a mix of working with people from all around the world, and having guests from all around the world. And also, it was like my first time working with money. And there's just so many germs, and kids are gross. So you're bound to get sick.
I'm well aware. Yeah.
You're bound to get sick. So after building my immune system up, I got a lot better. But yeah, that was probably the hardest.
I was gonna say like the large crowds was the most difficult part for me, and I never worked for Disney, but like, especially the second time we went though, like the large crowds, like, my wife was pregnant with our daughter, and it was just, I remember like one night we were leaving, I believe it was Disney Springs, and we were going back to the resort, and there was like all these athletes, and they were there for like a...
Oh yeah, that was at Universal though, wasn't it?
No, that was at Disney.
That was at Disney.
We didn't go to Universal last year, but
oh, that's right, we did.
And they were just like goofing around, and I'm just like sitting there with my arm, trying to keep them from
hitting her.
Yeah, hitting her, and I was just like, even not even working there, just being a guest was like very nervous for me, especially when Kelsey was pregnant.
There's been times where the crowds have freaked me out too.
You know what? My worst experience wasn't working main entrance. It was when I was working at Carthay Circle. See, here's the thing about Disneyland and DCA, which we consider Disneyland's California Adventure. We just shorten it as cast members. When you're working in DCA, they provide alcohol throughout the parks. So many 21 and over guests would like to drink. And when they drink, some drink a little bit too excessive. And I worked at Carthay Circle, which we have a bar and lounge. So not only are these people just getting drunk outside and, going to all these little pub areas in the park, but they're also coming to my really nice formal restaurant wanting to sit in our bar and lounge and drink some more. So you can only imagine about how many drunk experiences we had. I remember this one gentleman, he was far-fetched, very, very gone.
Wow. Wow.
He was very gone, and he started screaming racist slurs to...
Oh, no.
Yeah, to the person next to him. And
no.
The entire bottom...
Did he get kicked out?
Oh, yeah, he got kicked out. We had to call security, and
he went to Disney jail.
He went to Disney jail, and yes, that is a real thing. And
yeah, I was surprised when I heard that too, that Disney has a jail.
It's really just a room.
Yeah, people make it seem like there's actually we have a jail cell. Well, no. The thing is backstage it's a room and there's a security guard and
it's really not that special.
It actually kind of looks magical, to be honest. It does.
There's
they can watch guests walk by It doesn't seem all that threatening, because actually one of our godmother's daughter went to Disney jail one day.
Yep.
Got kicked out of the park.
That's hilarious, because it's just well, here, we're detaining you for the police, but, have a magical day. Enjoy the wonderful environment,
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you go into Disney jail, they'll actually put you on they cannot enter into the park list.
Yeah.
Typically. It's kind of like a no-fly zone for the airline.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So when I worked at main entrance, we had people that we would not allow into the parks. And
how did you know who was who?
Oh, trust me, they're if they had a pass or whatever, especially a park pass, annual pass, it would ding on our side and it'll say rejected.
Ooh,
or whatever.
You'd be
and so we'll be
lead. I need my lead.
We'll have to call over our leads and let them deal with it. And most of the time we were nice about it and said, you know what, it looks like we can't accept your entrance at this point or at this time and whatnot. But there was plenty of people at the time that would actually go back and renew their passports, but they couldn't. Or they'll use an alias name to get into the park.
Wow, that's...
People go to extremes. It's if you get kicked out of the park, there's a reason. Don't come back.
Can they ever... Is there is it permanent or is
No, I want to say it's a year.
Probably.
I want to say it's a year that they cannot go into the parks.
I guess it depends on what you did.
Exactly.
From what... just having brief conversations with you about it, it's just so interesting that, not only Walt Disney himself, but, the Disney, corporation, they want, everyone feeling like they're part of, a show. That's why, the employees are called cast members. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and, when you're a cast member, you're kind of, you're part of the show, so you're, it's like you're performing in a way.
Correct.
And, I can't, being, in several theater productions, I kind of appreciate the Shakespearean behind that, how you said, all the world's a stage and we're just merely players. But, and it's just, because I remember, I've noticed that you have, you have to stay in character. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy, because I remember when we went to Epcot one time and I purchased, a beer at, the Canada portion, and it was just, it was just a $7 beer. It was a $7 beer, but I thought, I've never actually had a Canadian beer before, so I thought I'd try it. And then the gentleman behind the counter, I was just I was telling him, yeah, I've never had a Canadian beer, so I'm just I'm intrigued. He was oh, it's just basically a Bud Light. I was
I was so upset when he said
you were.
that.
You were more upset than I was.
I was livid, because not only did he break character in the fact that he is from Canada, but the fact that he broke character...
It's like, what were you saying? Like, they ruined the magic or something?
They do. You're supposed to be, like, when you're in Canada, in Epcot, you know, you're supposed to be surrounded with Canadians and people that are truly what that culture is about. And the fact that he would even, like, tell you something, even if it was the truth, he should have lied. You know, it's because there's something...
Well, he shouldn't just have said nothing.
Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't have said anything.
Or may have just, like, instead of lied, may have just more, like, you know, just... You know, kind of...
Compared, maybe it's a lot like Bud.
Made it part of the show.
Correct.
Like, you know, like...
But I was livid because he broke character and...
Well, and you go to Epcot and you want authentic, you know...
Canadian beer.
Well, you
yeah,
want authentic whatever, like, food is from that country. And when he says it's just Bud Light, you're like, okay, well, I could get this anywhere. Why am I going to waste $7 on a fake Canadian beer?
Yeah, I think I remember feeling just slightly bummed about it, but then like 2 seconds later, I'm just like, beer, you know. But
Yep.
I just want to go back for the bratwurst.
Yeah, that was
Germany. I never got it.
Oh, you never got it?
No.
I think I had a bite of it. It was actually really good.
I think we had a bite of yours. No?
No, I never did.
May have been Kelsey's.
Oh,
No.
did Kelsey get it?
I never had a bite. I don't know where I was, but I want to go back. Just
No.
like
Bottom line is, guys, we want to go back.
Bottom line, 2022.
There's always 2021.
I know.
We can't. There's a whole year in between them. Especially since we're not going this year.
Yeah, we're currently planning our next trip when we take my daughter for her first Disney trip.
You can't joke about these things. I will have it booked.
I'm surprised.
Well, it's a little bit different now because you're not a cast member any longer.
I know.
So we can't have free tickets. So it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, I did notice, like, that's an interesting topic to go on. Like, you know, like, being a cast member, like, it has, although, you know, working with so many people and, like, having, you know, adhere to all these strict standards and everything, but, like, it seems like it has, like, a lot of fun benefits. Like, such as you can get, like, some of your friends in free after working there for a certain amount of time, But
here's the thing on that.
Disney World is different.
Disney World is different. Very different in terms of how they do it. I'm not sure how...
You have to work a certain amount of days before you can get, like, one entry.
Yeah.
It's only because it's a bigger park
campus.
and they have more people that attend, whereas Disneyland...
You get 16
automatic. Once you start, you get 16 entries a year, and you can get up to 3 people plus yourself.
Well, whatever
each
your
entry,
whatever your dependents
or
are.
whatever your dependent. But if you don't have any children or whatever, you can get up to 3 people, and then yourself, and so 4 people each time. And think about it, you can go once a month and bring your family once a month to Disney.
But here's the thing.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Alex.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that. You know, as cast members, we work hard for those sign-ins. So it is a benefit, but at the same time, we basically get minimum wage.
Right.
You know, so those extra benefits, because unless you're full-time, here's the thing, you don't get the medical whatever because Disney doesn't want to pay for that unless you're full-time and you're committed to them.
Yeah, most jobs are like that, actually.
Exactly. So even as a part-timer, having those sign-ins and those extra little perks,
the discounts,
free
parking.
You work so hard for those because not only like even on my days off, like I would go to the parks because that to me the park that was home. It is home. It still is home. It will forever be home. I will work for the Disney company again. I promise.
Technically, you still are.
Kinda.
I
once in a while I work for them, but. You know, it's like you work so hard for those sign-ins. So when people say, like, oh, you have a free sign-in, can you get me in? Here's the thing. I'm not going to just give it to you. And also, do not ever sell your tickets. That is illegal.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
yeah.
It's so illegal. Cast members try to do it all the time. I'll sell my tickets for so-and-so dollars. But
so that's why you never let me have them. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. No, but... And the thing is if you don't take them seriously, like, and you sign in somebody into the park and they do something wrong and they get kicked out of the park.
Oh, that comes back up. Yeah.
Guess who gets to blame?
That makes sense.
The cast member. Mm-hmm. Because the cast member's name is on their ticket.
Yep.
So it's like that you work hard. I wouldn't employ. I wouldn't let somebody in unless I knew I trusted them and they were really close friends of mine or family, because that's really who it's meant for, friends and family. Mm-hmm. It's not meant for strangers or friends, parents, or
that guy that you met at a coffee shop and you're like, oh yeah, I work for Disney World, like, can you get me in free? Oh sure. And then you're like, not.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's so, I really did, and I do appreciate like the lengths that they go just to make sure that everybody has a good time. And like, because I know that there's moments where they want to make, your visit to the parks like very, like
magical.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I mean, my niece's first time going there, like when my brother and his wife took their children to, I believe it was like it was my oldest nephew and my oldest niece, and they just walked like in the park for like maybe just a few steps, and then one of the cast members came out, or maybe one of the leads or the managers, and
it's most likely a lead or a manager,
and saw my niece and her what was it? I think she was Aurora. Yeah, Aurora, Sleeping Beauty princess outfit, and he went over there and talked to them and everything, and then like announced that she was now princess for the day, and I was like. My brother texted me. I thought like, oh, that's really cool, because I know that they gave her the option to like want to ride in the parade and everything, and I don't think she did. I
thought she did. I thought you said she did.
I think they. I think they offered it to her. I actually remember asking like my brother or my sister-in-law about it. I think they said that they asked her if she wanted to, but I don't think she was interested. But she got to meet Aurora, and
got like a little VIP.
Yeah, everybody bowed to her as she walked by, and she. And, like, she had the time of her life, and I remember my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law talking about, like, how they were just so happy for her. And
here's the thing. Not only will your niece remember that, because she probably will, or does she still remember it?
I believe so. I haven't asked her about it, but...
Yeah, you should ask her.
She was, like, 3, I believe, when that happened, but...
Even when something so, like, big happens when you're 3, you'll remember it for the rest of your life, for the most part. But you know what? It's also the parents. It's because the parents have money, right?
Yeah.
It's a circle if you think about it. It's like if you make the parents of the children happy, they're going to come back because they want that same experience all over again.
I was going to say, like, you were talking about, like, the experiences they give you, like, you'll remember for the rest of your life. I was just like, I remember the last time we went, it was for my 30th birthday, and we were just checking in. We were worried that we were going to have to, like, wait a few hours to get into our hotel room. And the gentleman behind the concierge, yeah, that's the name. He just, typed on his computer, just like, oh, you guys have been upgraded to a suite. And we were just like all looking into it.
Like,
just
what?
What? Like, we just had like a 2-bed hotel room that we were just...
It was two, what, fulls?
Yeah, two fulls
in one bathroom.
Yeah, and I was just... But then he must have saw, like, probably Kelsey's pin too that said "mommy to be."
No, because we didn't get the pins until we were at.
That's true. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, at the concierge.
But like I just said, I was like, oh yeah, we're here for my birthday. We're like, oh, well, you guys are being upgraded to a suite.
Said it's on Mickey.
I'm just like, all right. we
won't complain, and we got we got our room faster.
Yeah, we did.
Because it was already available.
And
those are the little things. It's like if you can make that magical moment for one family, they're going to go and tell everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all about a word of mouth, whether, you work for the company or whatnot. But it's about making those magical moments and making the people feel so special, because everybody is special. When you go into the parks, you're you.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, you, because you just reminded me, what would you say, like, what was the thing that you could say, like, what was the most magic, I guess, that you say, the magical moment that you gave someone at the park while working there?
I actually remember, this is just coming off the top of my head, but I remember we had World of Color tickets. And so when you're working at Carthay, actually I have several, like, things that just popped in my head. But so when I was working at Carthay Circle, you'd had to pay $60 or something for the World of Color dinner. And what that involved was a 3-course meal, and you get VIP tickets to a special. We called it a seating, but you stood. I don't know why we called it a seating, because there's no seats there. But it was a special area for people that only dine at Carthay, and it was the middle of the entire viewing area. So you got the whole panoramic of the entire show. So you got great areas. So anyways, there was this family, and we had a few extra tickets that we could give away. And I turned to my manager. I said, I really, really want to do this. I really want to do this magical moment, and I really want to give some guests some free tickets to the showing. And so she said, okay. And I walked up to this family, and I said, I think it was, I don't know if it was a little girl or not, or if it was the adult. No, I think it was a little girl, but I walked up to her and I said, I am a huge fan of Snow White. Oh my gosh, can I have your signature? And I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, Snow White, I love you. Did you know that you premiered at Carthay Circle? So this is your theater? And she was so excited. And so I said, you know what? Because you made us who we are, I want to give you something special. So I turned to her family and I said, you know what? I have some extra tickets. I'd love to offer you guys our World of Color tickets. And they were so thrilled because they said that they'd actually tried to get tickets to the World of Color, but it had already sold out.
Oh, wow.
So they were thrilled, and they literally just sitting in our bar and lounge, and they were just having a little, drink or two or whatever, and just the feeling or the look on their face was like just absolutely just beautiful and like so special.
That's awesome.
So
That's
not
amazing.
only did I make a magical moment for them, but I feel like they made it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because you feel like you've really made a difference in someone's life. I mean, even if it's just like for like one vacation, you feel like you gave them a, like as you said, a long-lasting memory.
Exactly.
What about you, Vicky?
I mean, I have a couple that I can think of, but there was one I was working in Fort. Or we call it Fort, but it's called Fortuosity. It's on Main Street. It's the watch store.
Mm-hmm.
The old watch store.
The old watch store, but we still sell I don't work there anymore, but they still sell watches. And
no, it's still we. Once you're a cast member for life.
okay, so
It's just in your blood, unless you're a cranky old person.
Well, I came across this little girl who had been wanting to meet Anna and Elsa all day. And they couldn't, I think each time they got in line, something happened, so they kept missing Anna and Elsa anyways. And I remember hearing the parents talk about it, and I remember telling my coworker, my coworker next to me, I was like, okay, we need to go get Anna and Elsa's autograph. And, we had some autographs in the back. And I told this little girl, I'm like, okay, so Anna and Elsa told us that you, so-and-so, have been wanting all day to, get a picture with them, and or at least to say hi, and Anna and Elsa were really sorry they kept missing you, and I was like, but, I have my friend who's going to run all the way to Arendelle, to get you, to get you something that, Anna and Elsa said they wanted to give you because they kept missing you. And then I went to the back and came back, and presented this autograph from Anna and Elsa. And I remember we were being filmed, so I've still yet to, I want to know if it's been on YouTube, but I don't know.
I've been filmed several times too.
I'm like, I don't know if this is just their memories or if they actually filmed it to put on, I don't know. Anyways, the parents were so happy, and it, and it's a memory that they can hold on to. And these kids felt special because I can't remember how I knew their names, but I did.
Maybe just in like the moment, like it just kind of like implanted in your brain or something.
These weren't the cast members from The Lion King, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I know that they were there. The Broadway cast of
they
The Lion King were there.
Young Simba and young Nala. They said that they were employees, and I'm like, you guys are like 12.
We're cast members.
What do you mean?
What?
Anyways, but no, not them.
Okay, that's sorry.
But I ended up, I knew their names, and I said, Anna and Elsa had been looking for you. Anyways, it was a memory that they cherished.
I figured like now would be a good time to kind of move on to some more recent events with Disney. Like, as we all know, due to this, unfortunate circumstance that's now, kind of going global right now, Disney like many other corporations have shut down, so they can prevent the virus from spreading. And, as sad as that is, it's probably a smart move on their part because,
definitely.
There's hundreds of thousands of people there.
Disney, when you're at the parks, I feel like it's almost a breeding ground for germs.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since people are all around the world are coming.
And they're sweaty and they're hot and
exactly,
everything.
And you're touching. How many people are touching the same attraction?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and sometimes kids will sneeze on their hands and that.
And so,
just wipe it down and their parents don't see it. Or
despite custodial keeping it as clean as they possibly can, it's one of those things when you're in a global pandemic, it's like you have to shut down because there is no such thing as social distancing at Disney.
Yeah, I know. It's just like you're kind of all in like one little area.
People
standing in lines.
Yeah, like queue lines and food.
I did, yeah. And I did read that, out where we live out here, like, it's, like, we're kind of starting to, like, test the waters a little bit, we're...
A little bit.
We're, like, some businesses are opening, like, restaurants and movie theaters, but with
super cautious,
strict guidelines, and still they're saying like, hey, still if you can wear a mask or keep hand sanitizer if you have it, and keep your hands clean. But it's just like I was reading like just before we recorded, like I know that out in Florida at Disney World, they're possibly considering opening up sooner than Disneyland. They didn't say when though. They just said that it may happen, but it's just like there's strict guidelines, and I think I remember reading that they only will allow 50% capacity.
Correct. So,
and they are encouraging people that are like either suffer from pre-existing health conditions, or if you're 65 and older, just consider maybe staying home and just waiting to come down. And it's just. I can just imagine, like, I know that you guys have a crew that goes in there and cleans the park at night, like, after it's closed and everybody's, gone home and everything like that. I just can imagine, like, that's probably going to be, like, there's going to be, like, a double crew for that now.
So from what I've also read is, first of all, Disney is open 24/7, and I don't think people realize that, because cast members work 24/7. Not the same cast member, but, like, there's shifts. There's 3 shifts. And so even when the park's closed to the public in general, the park is still going.
Operating. Yeah.
Operating. The park never shuts down. So the fact that we're in a global pandemic and the public and even cast members are staying home, there's still cast members there working every single day. Security is working, custodial is still working and all that to make sure that everything is up to par. But the things that I did read, however, I did read the same thing about possibly Florida opening up for California, and most likely due to the fact that California has a lot more sickness, it seems like, going on right now, whereas Florida seems to be a little bit better. I'm not a pro. I don't really like to watch the news on it. It just ignites too much fear, I think, especially in a lot of people, so I just try not to feed into that. But here's the thing, like, I did read some guidelines. They're going to be going in phases, like phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3.
Yeah, like phase 1 was like 50%, and then like 2 was like 75%.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then phase 3 is like the general public can come in. And also something I read, which I found really interesting, is, people are saying like, you can't open up restaurants and blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, like, here where we live, restaurants are opening up. So what's the difference of restaurants opening up in, say, Universal or around Orlando? Like, why can't they open up in the park? So what they're saying is, I guess there's strict guidelines about how food will be serviced and whatnot, which ones can be open. Mm-hmm. There's just going to be a lot stricter guidelines, and people are going to have to wait 6 feet apart in the queue lines. I don't know how they're going to regulate that, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting change, and hopefully, just maybe starting off, it'll be okay. Like, I do know that otherwise, if this doesn't work, then they're talking about maybe January, like a 2021 reopening again.
That's going to suck.
Which, I was, honestly, when I thought, I was like, how is Disney gonna
afford that?
I'm just like, but we also know, like, well, it's Disney. They own, like, several companies. And, you know, I was just like, well, okay, I mean, you know, maybe opening the park to some capacity, you know, that might give them some income, but, you know, they probably won't be that much, but it might help.
But so many people are going to fear going that having only 50% of the people that go in the first phase is like, I wonder what's going to happen. Because so many people are still cautious, like, should I go? Should I stay home? No, I shouldn't go. So it's like, people, like, even when they're talking about phases, it's so many people are going to be so cautious and so scared to go that it's...
Yeah.
How many people are actually going to be there on the opening day?
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think, Vicki?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was just, but if they do open, like I said, like you said, people are going to be a little bit, you know, skeptical about it. I can see that, but I mean, there might be some people out there that, you know, just like, you know what, I just need to get out of the house, so they go back to Disney World. And I mean, like, we do encourage people, you know, to be cautious, you know, keep your hands clean, wear a face mask if you can. But, you know...
There's going to be a lot more Disney-fied hand sanitizers around the park.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're thinking about not doing, at Disney World, not doing the fingerprint to enter, just doing the wristband. Because you know how you do the wristband and then the fingerprint?
Yeah.
Well, supposedly, they may get rid of the fingerprint.
Well,
or they might go
speculation.
to what Disneyland does, take pictures.
Oh,
Disneyland, they take pictures when you walk in.
Yeah,
they scan your thing and take a picture of your face.
Mm-hmm.
They might be doing that now instead because there is a no contact. You're not physically touching anything.
Correct.
That's true.
So I think that'd be a lot better.
Although I really hope Disneyland does the wristband.
I was gonna say
they're a little bit far behind.
Well, the technology there is a little bit.
They are a smaller park.
Yeah. Well, you got to realize Disney World has a lot. They have a bigger spot under the park where they have a lot more technology going on.
That's true.
Whereas Disneyland is a lot smaller, it's a lot older, so they don't have the capability or the capacity to.
I mean, we have Disneyland has an underground, but nothing like Disney World.
Nothing like Disney World. Disney World has like a 14 feet underneath ground of just
technology and hallways and stuff.
Yeah, I remember you telling me like there's like a
you can watch
little town.
You can watch it on that Netflix. No, not Netflix. I'm sorry.
Disney
Plus. Disney Plus.
There is a.
You can see what it looks like. It's actually quite interesting. They have stop signs for cast members. They're like, okay, look both ways before crossing.
I should go check that out.
It's actually interesting.
But yeah, it's just I'm kind of 50-50. I really would like the world to get back to the way it was, but at the same time, I'm not wanting to risk, like, everybody's safety or health for it. But it's just, like, I know that, like, we're kind of in a serious economic crisis right now because of all the craziness going on in the world, but it's really hard because at the same time, like, what's more important, though, is human life.
Correct, yeah.
And human health. Like, that's what you need to be mostly focusing on, but I do understand that sometimes...
And Alex's mental health, because she needs to go back to Disney.
Yeah, just like, please take the seats. Just like we want it to open up permanently again.
Well, the way I look at it is after the massacre that happened in Florida at the gay club, Disney ramped up security after that happened because the guy was supposed to, I guess, go to Disney Springs, and it was going to do it there, but then decided to go to the gay club.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had two plans, either there or to Disney Springs, because he just wanted to get as many people as possible. So after Disney had heard that, they ramped up security. So now, like, think about how crazy security is there. Like, you go through the scans now. They select people to go through, but they check everything, and, like, it's a lot more secure. So what I think, like, if that happened after that situation that happened, could you only imagine what they're going to do now? So
I feel like there's going to be doctors there.
I'm not too worried. I think that Disney definitely has a plan in order for people to come back and live a normal life.
They wouldn't open up unless they were 100% secure.
Yeah, they felt okay for the general public.
Yeah, I did also, you were kind of touching on what also I read. They also said that, like, for staff, like,
the 4 shifts,
they're going to have, like, a medical professional there.
Temperature checks and everything.
Yeah, like, you can't be over 100.4, otherwise you're sent home. And, you know, I appreciate that. Like,
I still think that's way too high. If you have 100.4, stay home anyways.
I would like to say, if I have, like, a 99.8, I'd probably stay home.
Exactly.
But, I was gonna say, like, I do appreciate, them wanting to make sure that this virus doesn't spread any more than it already has. Like, but I mean, and not only I think that that's a good. I mean, that shows that they care about the public and they care about their cast members. But I'm sure that there's some that work for Disney and like that are also kind of in the same boat. Like, well, we'd kind of like to reopen because there's people working for us. They have families they have to feed. And
they're tired of being furloughed.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure that they, the staff also, recognizes like, well, we should also, be careful because we don't want to get sick because that's not going to help us if we get sick because then we'll just be out for a few more weeks, at the most anyway. But yeah, hopefully all soon, this will all settle down. But I do kind of have that feeling like even if it does kind of settle down, things might be different, not only for the Disney parks or the corporation, but for the rest of the world in general. But I also wanted to point out earlier because I just realized that like Vicki, you started Disneyland first, and then Alex joined. But then when you guys moved out here from California, you started working at the Disney store.
No, we both started working at the Disney store.
Oh, I thought Vicki did it first.
I got her the job there.
Technically, it's because here's the thing. She had an email because she was a lead. Well, I was
a trainer.
A trainer. So she had a Disney email so she could go into what we called the hub. And she can email.
I looked through the directory I typed in Oklahoma City, and then Christy came up. So once I did that, I was like, okay, it's a far-fetched opportunity, but I'm gonna try. So I emailed her, and I got back, and she heard back, and I said I'm moving to Oklahoma. And I wanted to stay with the company. And then so she said yes immediately, and I was like, okay, there's only one more thing. I
have a twin sister.
I have a twin sister who also wants to stay with the company. Is it okay if she comes? Which I was really scared to even ask because, like, oh, you're already taking me in.
But here's the thing.
Now you're going to take in 2 more people.
It's not fair. I didn't have a Disney email.
Yeah, but I don't think you had the guts to even go about doing it.
I'm the one that told you about it.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Did I not? I seriously believe I did. Because I did not. I begged. I did not.
We're gonna have a twin sister fight here.
I did not want to leave the Disney company.
Neither did I. I wanted security because I also had a car payment to do.
So?
I wanted to stay with the company because I was devastated when we left. I cried so hard. I swear they thought somebody died.
Oh, you should have seen me. I was a wreck.
At least they let you
I'm pretty sure on my last day at Disneyland or DCA, I actually got a guest complaint because I was so upset for leaving that my mind was not there, and I was just I was a wreck.
Oh wait, can I say a side note? If you are a guest if you go to the Disney parks, please give your cast members not complaints, I'm sorry. Compliments.
Yeah.
By going to their city hall.
Yeah, do not give them a complaint.
Well, I mean, unless they really deserve it. But,
if you have a magical moment with somebody at the park, go to guest services and give that compliment because that means everything to them.
Yeah, because you work so hard to do these
wage,
for these, to make people happy and to go above and beyond. Like there's instance where this guest.
Wow, you've been at a Disney far too long.
Way too long. This customer. Oh my gosh! This guest. I'm sorry. That's what I call customers at the bank. Anyhow, this guest had been looking for this one sweatshirt or shirt for 3 days, and it was their very last day. And I decided to go above and beyond to try to find this thing for this shirt for them after. No joke, like 10 minutes of calling different stores. I finally found it. So anyways, they were really happy, and they gave me a compliment for that because, I went above and beyond, above my role to do something to make their visit extra special. So if you have the opportunity, please give your, these cast members compliments because it gets back to their department, and then it gets back to their managers, and then they get to celebrate it with their team. And it also makes them feel like what they're there for is all working out, especially because we're only getting paid minimum wage, but we're also there for our guests, and we're there to make magic. So if you can, please give compliments.
Not to mention, guest relations absolutely hates complaints.
They really do. They like compliments. So many people complain, so it's good to have a compliment every once in a while.
Yes.
Well, guys, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for being on today's episode. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad that we got to talk about, the Disney parks, and, hopefully, again, we'll go soon, because, like I said, we went a couple of years ago, and then we went last year, but, now we're planning to go and take my daughter when she's a little older. But, and speaking of which, I think whenever you guys were, like raising your voices, I think I heard her trying to, like, out raise her voice to you.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I heard her, too.
Yeah, I was just like...
I did.
But anyway, thank you guys again so much for being on today's episode, and thank you guys all out there for listening. Again, please stay safe, please stay healthy, and we will see you guys next time on the NerdPub Podcast. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.